Good morning. I will discuss today about auditing for, sorry, accounting for relevant costing or incremental analysis. So it is part of the MAS, all right, the Management Advisory Services or the Management Accounting. So very important here is about the relevant costing or the incremental analysis. Okay, so I will use the book of Keso, Wicked. Ginagamit ko ito matagal na. So, chapter 9, it is what you call incremental analysis or increment. Okay? So, incremental analysis. So, increment analysis. Okay. Today, I will discuss about or identify the steps in management decision making. So, very important here. If pag sinasabi natin relevant costing or incremental analysis, very important here is the basic decision making process. Okay? So, please take note of that one. Okay? So very important here is to identify the process of your decision-making process. Describe also the concept of incremental analysis. So I will discuss again, what are the concepts of incremental analysis. Number 3, identify also the relevant cost in accepting an order of the special price. Ito yung mga one of the method, okay, or methods of incremental analysis. No? So relevant cost in accepting an order at the special price. Number 2, I will discuss also about make or buy the product. Okay, identify the relevant costs in making or make or buy the product. Number 5, give the decision rule in deciding whether to sell or process further. Please take note, whether to sell or to process further. That would be number 3. So we will discuss that one. Number 6 also is identify the factors to be considered in retaining or replacing an order. So number 4 ito class. Okay. And number 7, explain also the factors that are relevant in terms of deciding whether to eliminate an unprofitable segment. So number 5 din to. No? Explain the factors that are irrelevant in deciding whether to eliminate an unprofitable segment. Okay. If we have time, I will discuss about sales mix also. Okay, but now my focus here is more on the relevant costing. Okay, so ito yung kanina. Okay, but please take note of this one. It is more on decision-making process. And also, very important also is when you say about relevant costing or incremental analysis, ito yung mga steps. No? In the board exam, for sure, in MAS, ito yung mga given, the 5. And also, very important is these types of incremental analysis. Accepting an order at a special price, make or buy the product, sell or process further, retain or replace an equipment, and eliminate the unprofitable segment. Okay. So if you have time, but my focus now is about relevant cost. Again, objective number 1, identify the steps in the management decision-making process. So management decision-making process. So what are the process involved in this management decision-making process? Now, please take note of this one. Number 1, identify the problem and assign who are the responsible for that cause. Diba? The reason why you have what you call decision-making process para alam natin kung ano yung problema. What would be the problem? And at the same time, it is for your decision-making process. And number 2, determine and evaluate the possible courses of action. Okay? So, isa rin yun sa pinaka-importante dyan. No? Determine and evaluate the possible courses of action. And number 3, of course, make your decision. And number 4, review the results of the decision. Okay? So, pinaka-importante dyan is the management decision-making process. Okay. So, very important also in deciding whether to have decision or not is that management should consider both financial and non-financial information. Please take note, class. No? We will consider any financial and non-financial information. Okay, although it is important that you have your non-financial, okay, the following slides, of course, we'll discuss about financial information. Okay. Yeah. So, what is the concept of incremental analysis? So, ito yung concept natin. So, business involve a decision as part of the courses of action, no, under alternative courses of action. Okay. The process used to identify the financial data that change under alternative courses of action, ang tawag doon ay incremental analysis. Please take note of the key words. No? The process, financial data. Please take note, the change under alternative courses of action. Nagbabago daw. So it is increment. Okay? Nagbabago. In some cases, both costs and revenues will change under the alternative courses of action. Okay? Please take note also, hindi lang cost but also revenue. No? In other cases, only costs or revenues will vary. Okay. Go back sa ating discussion about the CVP analysis or yung tinatawag natin cost behavior. Diba? If your sales will go up and will go down, what will happen to our variable costs and fixed costs? Ano tayo, we'll focus more on total lang. Okay? Diba? Total fixed cost, it will increase and it will decrease, correct? While total fixed costs will remain the same. Okay? Regardless of the activity level. Please take note of this relevant costing or incremental analysis. It is important to recognize that variable cost may not change. So, pwede pa lang ang variable cost ay same and the fixed cost will change. It would depend on your situation, particularly about your relevant costing. So, meaning, ito ay hindi na hindi na siya applicable for this one. Okay. All right. So, in terms of this incremental analysis, it involves not only identifying relevant revenues and costs, but also determining the probable effect of your decisions on the future earnings. Yun naman, no? Lahat naman ito ay we will identify relevant revenues and costs and also the probable effect in terms of your decisions on your possible or probable future earnings. Okay. Data for incremental analysis often involves also estimates and uncertainty. Okay. Yan. Very important to consider any estimates and at the same time uncertainty when we are talking about incremental analysis. Okay. So gathering data may involve also market analysts, engineers, and accountants. So kailangan dito yung mga analysts, the engineers, and also about accountants. Okay. How it works? Okay. Halimbawa, if you have alternative A and alternative B. So you have 125 and you have 110. And the cost is 180. Of course, without considering for any relevant costing, you will choose alternative B. Why? Alternative B has 5,000 more of the net income. Okay? If it is, sabihin natin that the cost is all relevant costs. Yeah? In this illustration, alternative B is being compared with alternative A. The net income column shows the differences between the alternatives. Okay? Alternative B will produce 5,000 more the net income than alternative A. Okay. What are the key components or concepts of this incremental analysis? Ano nga sinabi kanina? It is relevant or incremental analysis or incremental cost if it would differ. Magbabago, nagbabago. Okay? Okay. In this one, the only factors to be considered are those costs and revenues that differ across alternatives. No? Please take note that differ across alternatives. Those factors are called relevant. Okay? Costs and revenues that do not differ across alternatives, please take note, it can be ignored. It can be ignored when trying to choose between these two alternatives, di ba? Common sense na class kung bakit, di ba? For example, yung ating mga historical costs, di ba? Kahit anong mangyari, nandiyan na yan, no? So it can be ignored, no? They do not differ across among alternatives. Please, sir, please give me example of nagbabagong cost. Halimbawa, if we will eliminate that cost or that department, no? Yung salaries ba ng factory worker, of course, it will change, di ba? Pwede mawala, lalo na yung mga contractual. Yung rental ba? Depende, no? If the rental is applicable to all the products, it is irrelevant. No? Pero kung applicable lang siya in one product, it is relevant cost. Bakit? Mawawala yung cost na yun. Tama ba? Yes. Okay. So what else? Very important also to consider in this cost is what you call opportunity cost or sunk cost. Opportunity cost is the loss forgone or the loss benefit. No? Why? If you choose one alternative to another, yung give up mo, okay? The company must give up the opportunity to benefit from one other course of action. It is opportunity cost. Halimbawa, you have an offer from abroad, pero you should still, no? Sabi mo, hindi, I will finish my study here in the Philippines. No? So, may offer ka work in abroad. So, hindi mo pinili yun. No? So, you choose to study here in the Philippines. So, meaning, working abroad is an opportunity cost. Diba? So, hindi siya part. Sorry, it is relevant cost or part of your incremental analysis. But sunk costs that have already been incurred and will not be changed or avoided by any future decisions are referred to as sunk costs. And sunk cost now is irrelevant cost. Kasi nga, common sense, nagawa na, tapos na. Okay? While opportunity cost ay gagawin pa lang. Okay, so please take note of this one. It is more relevant if we are now in make or buy or sourcing or outsourcing, sorry. All right. So types of, ito yung ating mga discussions later. No? What are the different types of your decisions involving incremental analysis? No? So the more common types of decisions are whether to accept an order at a special price, make or buy components, parts of finished products, sells products, or process further, retain or replace the equipment, and eliminate the unprofitable segment. Don't worry, we will discuss that all today. Okay. Number one, so relevant, identify the relevant cost in accepting an order at the special price. Okay. Sometimes it is called opportunity to obtain additional business. Diba? Kasi nga, may ginagawa ka na, no? If it is willing to make major price concessions to the special custom. Okay. An order at the special price should be accepted when the incremental revenue from the order exceeds the incremental cost. That's the very basic method or very basic evaluation about an order at a special price. For example, you're manufacturing siomai at 10,000. Pero yung capacity mo is 15,000. Let's say, currently, you have 15,000 capacity. Okay? Pero mayroon ka lang 10,000. Yun yung napuproduce mo na siomai. Okay. Siomai na lang ha, kasi pinakamadali. So meaning, you have still 5,000 pa excess, di ba? Sayang. Hindi mo nagagamit yung 5,000. So meaning, ang sabi dito, you will accept the order if the incremental revenue from the order will exceed the incremental cost. Ganun ang kadali. Okay. Of course, if may offer pa na additional 5,000, you will grab it if should be accepted if the incremental revenue from the order will exceed the incremental cost. Okay. So I will put this one. All right. So it is assumed, please take note. In other markets, will not be affected by the special order. If the other sales were affected, the lost sales would have to be considered. Halimbawa, sabi dito class, no? Yun nga, may 15,000 ka na pinoproduce and 15,000 capacity ka na. Yan. So, pag-iisipan mo daw. Okay? If maapektuhan yung normal sales mo. Buti kung mayroon kang capacity. If you have capacity pa, may nakatain ka pang machine, di ba? Kasi nga, may 5,000. Pwede pa naman yan. As long as the incremental revenue will exceed the incremental cost. Again, you will accept it if the sales in the other markets will not affect by the special order. Okay. Please take note of number 4 bullet. If the units can be produced within existing capacity, only variable costs will be affected. Again, kanina, 10,000 is your regular siomai na pinoproduce mo. Ito yung regular. Pero you have 15,000 pa. You have capacity of 15,000. So meaning, mayroon ka pang 5,000 na pwede mong gamitin na capacity. Ano ba? May isa pang machine na nakatenga. Ang sabi, only the variable cost will be affected. Okay, sir, what if nang-exceed na tayo sa 15,000? Ano sabi? Variable costs and the fixed costs now will be affected. Again, if capacity is equal na to your produce and mayroon ka nang tinatawag na offer, of course, fixed costs will change. Common sense, di ba? Maghahanap ka na ng isa pang warehouse. Tama? Bibili ka pa ng isang machine. Tama ba? Kasi nga, 15,000 is already your capacity. Tama ba? Hopefully, you get the point. Okay. But basta if it is within the existing capacity, only variable costs will be affected. Okay. Please take note of that one. Okay. For example, acceptable order at a special price. To illustrate, assume that the Sunbelt company produces 100,000 automatic blenders per month, which is 80% of, okay, so you have 80%. So may 20% ka pa class. Now, variable manufacturing costs are 8 per unit and the fixed manufacturing costs are 4. So meaning, ano yung regular natin? Okay, so this is the regular. So the regular here, you have here your sales or selling price. The selling price is 20 pesos. Yun yung and the variable cost is 8. And the fixed cost here is 4. Okay? So meaning our net income here is 8 plus 4, 12. So 8. Tama ba? Okay. May nag-o-offer. Meron ka pa. Ito ay at 80% capacity. So you have still 20%. Pwede pa yan, class. May nag-o-offer sa inyo. Si Mexico. Okay. To purchase additional 2,000. Okay. Blenders at 11. Okay. So at 11 pesos. Okay. Okay, Sunbelt no, has an offer from company to purchase 2,000 blenders at 11. Oh, okay, so may offer at special order. So special order. Yung selling price mo 11. Nako. O, diyan pala. 20 pesos is our regular. How come that you will offer me at 11? Selling price to ha, 11. Okay. Acceptance of this offer would not affect normal sales of the product. So meaning, it will not affect, no? And you have capacity pa. So dito pa lang class, magkano yung variable cost mo? 8. And fixed cost here is 4. So dito pa lang class, sasabihin mo, 12. So meaning, net loss na. How much na net loss? 1. Sabihin mo, we will not accept it since we have net loss of 1. But the question here is, this is correct. Is it correct ba that the selling price is to be deducted with the variable cost and fixed cost? All right, very good class. No? I will explain in the next slide. Okay, if the management makes its decision on the basis of total per unit, 12, the order would be rejected. Kasi nga 11 lang, yung 11 pesos lang yung ino-offer niya. Go back again to our discussion a while ago. If it is within the capacity, only the variable cost is relevant cost. Tama ba? But fixed cost will remain the same. Tama ba? Without an order, right? Without the order, you will still incur fixed costs. Tama ba? Halimbawa, siomai tayo ulit, di ba? Kahit walang order or may order, you still incur depreciation expense of your machinery, right? Yes. Without an order, you will still pay for your rental, correct? Without an order, you will still pay for the salaries of the monthly pay, correct? If it is within the capacity class. Tama? Pero if it is it will exceed the capacity, it is not, fixed costs will increase. Common sense. Siyempre, bibili ka ng panibagong machine, it will increase your depreciation. Pwede ka pa nga bumili ng isa pang warehouse. You will increase your rental expense. So meaning class, a while ago, special price is 11. Okay? And only the variable cost of 8. Fixed cost is irrelevant. So meaning 3. With this one, you will accept the order. Makano ngayon? Times 2,000, diba? So you have here 22,000 times 2,000 also, you have 16. Diba? You have 6. Tama ba? Ito yon, diba? Yes. So the relevant data for this decision, therefore, are the variable manufacturing cost per unit of 8 and the expected revenue of 11. Hopefully, you get this one. Huh? Hopefully, ha? Okay. Sunbelt will increase its net income by 6,000 when accepting this special order. Okay. So we are finished now with number 1. Number 1 is a special order at a special price. Ano nga yung pinaka-relevant dito? If it is within the capacity, only the variable costs are relevant. If it is with exceed the capacity, fixed cost will change. Okay, and also the variable costs. Okay. Number 2 is all about indicate the relevant costs in make or buy. So, sa Tagalog, bibili ba tayo or we will just manufacture or we will just produce in our own? Okay? So, when the manufacturer assembles components, parts in producing or of the finished product, management must decide whether make or buy the components. Ang tawag dito class ay outsourcing decision. Okay? So very important also is if there's an opportunity to use the productive capacity for another purpose, opportunity cost should be considered. Again, no? Ano nga yung opportunity cost? Benefits forgone. Diba? The decisions make or buy components should be made on the basis of incremental analysis. Okay, so very important here is about incremental analysis. Okay. Yan. Halimbawa, ito yung cost mo in producing belt ba to? Scooters pala. Switches, ignition switches. So, direct materials of 50,000, direct labor of 75, variable of 40, fixed manufacturing of 60, and you have total manufacturing cost of 225. If you will produce 25,000, the cost per unit here is at $9. Okay? So, yan yung ating make or buy. Okay. Alternatively, pwede kang bumili sa labas. Pero, ang cost niya ay 8. 9 versus 8. O malamang, sabihin mo, you will buy na lang. Diba? You will buy. No? Because 9 versus 8. Common sense. Diba? Okay. But please take note of the relevant costing again. Okay. Yan. At first glance, it appears that the management should buy the switches for 8 instead of making it for $9. Diba? Okay. However, please take note of the relevant cost here. However, the review of the operations indicates that if the switches are purchased all of the Baron's variable costs, but only 10,000 of its fixed manufacturing cost, it will be eliminated. Thus, the 50,000 of fixed cost will remain the same. So the incremental costs are as follows. Please take note of this one. Di ba ito yung kanina? Make, okay. Make 50, 75, 40, 60, and you have 0. And you have here 225,000. Okay, ang sabi class, pag bumili daw tayo, no, still, the fixed cost will just reduce by 10,000. And still, we will have 50,000. So, malamang, ano to, depreciation. Kahit bumili tayo or hindi, we will still have depreciation. 10,000 lang yung mababawas. Sabihin natin, sweldo yan ng isang empleyado. Diba? Nawala yung isang empleyado kasi you will just buy for the product. Magkano na? Of course, you will also include here the purchase price of 200,000. Okay? So, in making the product, kanina, ang cost natin ay 225. Pag bumili pala tayo 250, mali na pala yung kaninang assessment natin, di ba? A while ago, our assessment here is we just buy with the 8 pesos or $8. But now, we still consider the fixed manufacturing cost. Tama? Kasi without making or without buying the product, you still have 50,000 as your fixed manufacturing cost. Gagastos ka pa din ng gagastos. Okay? So you have 225 and also you have your 250,000. Okay? All right. So Barton company will incur 25,000 of additional cost by buying the switches. Yeah? So ano yung ating decision? Of course, make na lang. No? We should make the product because of you have 225. However, class, no? We also need to consider opportunity cost. Halimbawa, we will just buy it. Diba? So, ano mangyayari? Nakatenga na lang yung ating machine. Okay? So, we have an opportunity cost of, sabihin natin, renting it to another business. No? Assume that buying the switches, Baron Company can use the released productive capacity to generate additional income of 28. Kanina, magkano yung difference? 25. Now, if you make the product, you have 25 additional. Pero, mayroon kang opportunity cost na pwede mong iparenta yung machine mo and also your office, no? At 28,000. Yan. O, diba? It is quite interesting. With this one, of course, we will just buy the product with the increase of 3,000. It is now advantageous to buy the switches. Barton will save $3,000 worth of cost with this alternative. Okay, so yun yung pinaka-importante. All right. Next one. Now, give the decision rule. Okay, so we are finished now with number 1 and number 2. Next one is all about give the decision rule in deciding whether to sell or to process further. Okay. Then naman is about sell or process further. Many manufacturers have the option of selling the products at a given point of time. Ito naman class, ano ba? We will just sell it or we will just process it further. Okay? So parang bumili ng sasakyan, no? Ano ba to? Papagandahin ko pa ba or hindi na? Or sell as is na lang? Or you just manufacture it, pinaganda mo pa. Okay? Sell or process further decision rule here is on the basis of your incremental analysis. The basic decision rule in this one, in a sell or process further decision is process further as long as the incremental revenue from such processing will exceed the incremental processing cost. Diba? Common sense lang naman. Okay? So, sell or process further. Halimbawa, if you just sell it, assume that Woodmaster makes tables. The cost to manufacture an unfinished table is $35 as computed as follows. So direct materials, you have 15, direct labor, you have 10, variable manufacturing overhead, you have 6, and the fixed overhead of 4. And the total manufacturing cost here is at 35. Okay? So ito yung ating cost. The selling per unfinished unit is $50. The Woodmaster currently has the unused productive capacity that is expected to continue indefinitely. Okay, so pwede mo ba daw siyang i-process further? Kaya lang, the selling price will increase to 60 from 50. Diba? And direct materials will increase by 2, by 4, respectively. Variable overhead will also increase by 2.40, so 60% of direct labor. So ano yung question natin? Should Woodmaster sell the unfinished tables or process it further? Again, sell or process further, very important here as long as your cost will exceed, your revenue will exceed your cost. Okay. So incremental analysis, common sense. If you sell it, you have $50 and the cost per unit is 15, 10, and 6. Okay? So total here is 35. If it is processed further, $60 the sales per unit, and the total cost is 43.40. Net income here 16. Of course, what would be your decision? Process it further with 16.60. Napakadali, di ba, class? Okay. It would be advantageous for Woodmaster to process it further because it will have an increase of 1.60. Yeah. Again, kung ano yung pinakamataas is you just follow it and it is process it further. Okay? All right. Next one is all about identify the factors to be considered if it is to retain or to replace an equipment. So we are number 4 na. Okay. Management often decide whether to continue using an asset or replace it. Okay? Or you will retain or you will replace. Okay? So management compares the costs which are affected by two alternatives. Generally, there are variables in terms of the manufacturing cost and the cost of the new equipment. And the book value daw ng old machine is a sunk cost, di ba? Kasi nga tapos na, nangyari na. Okay? In the book value of it. But the trade-in allowance are all to be relevant. Kasi that's the cost, current cost. Okay. Assume that Jeff Coat Company has a factory machine with a book value of $40,000 with the remaining useful life of 4 years. The new machine is available at cost of $120,000. So ito yung purchase price ng ating machine na bibilhin, worth $120,000 and expected to have zero salvage value at the end of the 4-year useful life. If the new machine is acquired, variable manufacturing costs are expected to decrease by 160. Kung tayo ay bumili, we will decrease it from 160 to 125. Should Jeff Coat retain or replace? Okay. Please take note of this one. As part of retaining it or replacing it, if we will retain it, since the useful life is 4 years, ang sabi is you have still 160 as your cost. Ito yung ating variable cost. Okay? So times 4, you have 640. If you will retain, we still to incur 640. But if you will replace it from 160 down to 125, so meaning just 4 years, 120. 500, sorry. But still, you will also include the cost of the machine. Siyempre. Okay, 120. Dito pa lang, class. Retain or replace? Of course, replace because of the 620. Mas maliit ang replace. Diba? In this case, it would be advantageous to replace the equipment. The lower variable cost due to the replacement more than the offset the cost of the new equipment. Diba? Napakadali lang. Okay. Last one is all about whether to eliminate the unprofitable segment. Okay. Ano naman to, class? Now, deciding whether to drop or not, or to eliminate or not. Okay? Again, the key here is that management sometimes needs to decide whether to eliminate an unprofitable segment. And the focus here is that it will have a change, variable cost man yan or fixed cost man yan under alternative courses of action. Often, fixed costs allocated to the unprofitable segment must be absorbed by the other segment. Okay? It is possible, therefore, for the net income to decrease when an unprofitable segment is eliminated. So mamaya, we will see. Okay? In deciding whether to eliminate it, first with the highest income, yun yung pinaka, by the way, total highest income, not only the segment itself. Okay. So, para maintindihan, ito yan. Assume that Martina Company manufactures tennis racket in three models. So you have Pro, Master, and Champ. As you can see, no, Champ has a net loss of $20,000. Pro and Masters are profitable, whereas Champ are at loss. All right. So overall, you have, please take note of the total. The total here is at 220. Should the Champ segment be eliminated? Okay. Eliminate the unprofitable segment. Tinanggal mo na yung si Champ. But please take note of this one, 30,000. Ang sabi, 30,000 daw will remain will exist or nandiyan pa rin regardless of dropping or not, or to drop or not to drop. No, meaning the 30,000 here is to be allocated. Diba? Based on the balance. So let's say nag-increase na tayo, no? Pakalo ba yung Pro? Pro has 80 and Masters is 50. So meaning additional 20 and additional 10. Okay? Please take note of the net income now. 210. A while ago, how much? 220. Bumaba pa tuloy. Okay. Mas maganda pa palang hindi na ako na-drop. No? Okay. Why? Because of the fixed cost. Diba? Again, tanggalin mo man ang Champ, you will still incur depreciation cost. You will still incur rental. Diba? Okay. Decision here, total net income has decreased from 220 to 210. So decrease of $10,000. Okay. So with this one, our decision here is to continue pa din. Okay? To continue pa din, not eliminating, no? Because of the 10,000. No? Once again, total net income has decreased from 10,000. No? It corresponds to the Champ segment contribution margin. Thus, management should not discontinue the Champ segment unless the other lines can recover some of the sales contribution margin lost by the discontinued segment. Okay, so we are finished now about the 5 models. Ano nga yan? Accepting the special price at accepting the special order at the special price. Number 2 here is make or buy or the outsourcing. Number 3 here is about sell or process further. Number 4 is to purchase or not the equipment, or number 5, dropping or not your segment. Okay. So we are finished already about the discussion about relevant costing and incremental analysis. Hopefully, you learned a lot about this relevant costing or incremental analysis. Thank you. Bye-bye.